this part of the tutorial, we're going to talk about maps in JavaScript. So generally maps are like sets or arrays, but with the difference that we have a key and we have a value for that key. So for example, we want to see what is the grade of each of the students of the class. So we have the key, which is the name of the student, and we have the value, which is the grade of the student. So this kind of an array is called map because we are going to map the grade of the students to the names of the students. So let's not hesitate and create a new file and see how maps really look like. So I'm going to create a new file and call it map.js. Also, I'm going to create an HTML file by copying one of the HTML files that we've had here. So for example, I'm going to copy and paste file HTML and call it map.html. Also, let's modify some of these. So for example, let's see the grades of students. And here maybe one of them is enough. So there we go. We also need to change the script name to map.js. There we go. So let's save both of the files and let me find map.js right over here. Okay, and so let's get it started. So first of all, we're going to define a new map. So in order to define a new map, you can do the same process as what we did for the sets. So we're going to write new map. So the map can be we can call the map, or it's better not to define it with a constant because we might need to change it. So we can write the name of the map itself. So for example, students grades, and make it equal to new map, and then just the same as the sets, we have parentheses, we have square brackets, and then inside of it we're going to write the pairs of each one of the keys and values inside of another square bracket. So here, for example, we have the name, which is, for example, Sarah, and then right in front of it we're going to have the value, which is the grade of Sarah. So Sarah is the key and Sarah's grade is the value. So now we can write Sarah and then comma, and notice that maps are pretty much like dictionaries in Python, but there are some differences in the format of writing. For example, we had colon after the key and then we had the value after the colon, but here we have comma instead, but the whole structure and the whole purpose is the same. So we have Sarah, and then we have the grade of Sarah. It can be integer, it can be a number, or which is integer or float, or it can be a string containing the number. So no difference. So if the grade is from, for example, 100, her grade is 90, for example, comma, and then the next student and his or her grade. So for example, this one could be James, and then we have comma, and we have his grade. So for example, 85, and then we have, for example, Brad, we have the comma, and then we have the grade related to Brad, which could be, for example, 94. We have Emily, and then we have her grade. We have her grade inside of the quotation marks, and her grade, for example, is 96. So pretty clever students up to now, right? So let's have some lazy students as well. So for example, John is a lazy student. So for example, he got 65, right? And by the way, it's not colon, it's comma, and that's it. Up to now, that's it. So imagine that we want to add a new item to this map. So in order to do that, we can use map.set. So here we can write the name of the set, students grades dot set. So here we set a new item to this map, and here we write the key. So for example, the new student's name is Carrigan, and her grade is example 86. So let's save this and let us console.log the students' grades. And now we're going to see the result in the browser. So we had the map, and there it is, map.html. So it's going to open up what we've written, and here inside of the inspect elements, we're going to see the result in the console. So a map containing 6 elements, and as you can see, Carrigan has been added to the map here, and the map is printed out this way here in the console. Perfect. So here we've learned how to add a new element to the map, but what if we want to get the value of a key inside of the student's grade, inside of our map? So for example, we know the Emily, but we don't know her grade. So we want to see her grade. And by the way, she's the top of the class. So students grade.get, and then here we write Emily. I can also write console.log before that, console.log, and another close the parentheses here, save the code, and here in the browser, let us refresh the page. So 96 is her grade, right? So it's been printed out here in the console. There we go. So we've learned how to add new map to the map, new element to the map that we have, and also how to get the data from the data of the values of each of the keys. So there we go, perfect. Now, what if we want to remove one of these students from the class? So, for example, we realize that Sarah is not the student of this class. So we want to remove her from the class. So in order to do that, we can write students grades.delete, and then I can delete Sarah. It's enough to write the key here without the value. And once I save this, and we will take a look at the student's grade map, and by saving this, refreshing the page, you will see here that we don't have Sarah. So the size is also 5. What if you want to know the size of this map without looking at it inside of the console? And probably we want to use it somewhere else. So to do that, we can write console.log. Here I want to see the results, so I write console.log console.log and then I can write students grades dot size. So let's save the code and see what the result is here inside. So there seems to be, we don't have size as a function. So here, if I look at it, this is not a function, but if I remove the parentheses, as you can see, this method is going to work. So let's save the code and here refresh the page, and as you can see, the size is 5 and not 6 anymore because we've removed one of the elements. There we go. We've learned how to find the size, how to delete one of these, and also how to delete one of these students from the class. Also how to add a new member to the class and to the map. Also imagine that we want to check whether our class has a student named Brad. So here the output should be a boolean, true or false. So I write console.log and then the name of my map. So I want to see if my map has a certain key or a student. So student's grade dot has, and then inside of the parentheses we write the name of the student. So we want to see if Brad is in this class. So let's save this and here refresh the page. As you can see, it's true, and as a result we have Brad as part of the class. What if we try Sarah, the student who we removed from the class? Sarah, then the result should be false. So save the code and refresh the page. As you can see, the result is false because Sarah has been removed from the class or from the map. Or in other words, the key Sarah has been removed from the map student's grade. So now we want to loop through this. At the end, we want to loop through this student's grades, and we want to show the grades of the students and the students' names together on the HTML elements. So we have map.html right here, and we have the ID called names in order to be able to show it here. So let's get back to our code in JavaScript, map.js. And here we can use, again, we can use for each for the maps. So here I can write students grades dot for each, and by the way, it's written with the capital letter, so don't forget it. Also forget this for each with the small letter because it is something else. So right here for students grade, which is a map, we have for each, and then we write the name of the function that we're going to create. And so here the function has a key and a value, and then we have the function itself inside of the block. So also don't forget to write an empty text right here to define a text which is empty. And here we want to write tab text plus equal text. Oh no, not text. So here we're going to write the key, which is the names of the students, plus in here inside of the quotation marks we're going to have a string, and inside of it we're going to write equals. Don't forget about the spaces as well, and then we want to write the value, which is the grades of the students. And also I'm going to add a tag, br tag inside of the string or quotation marks, br tag, in order to go to the next line for the other element of the student grades, just the same as here. So afterwards we're going to write document dot get element by ID. Then inside of this, I can write names, and then dot inner HTML equals to text. So let's save this code. Also, let us write names here, names, which is the ID of our HTML code, HTML p tag, and then we're going to put in text inside of it. So let's save the code, and here in the browser, refresh the page. So there we go. And oh, we have, at the beginning, we have the value, and then we have the key. So let's check this. Okay, we have the key and then the value. So this looks a bit odd here. Probably the first one here should be a value and then the key. Yes, we should have, at first we should have the value and then the key. So the names are mixed up here, but generally the first one is the value, the second one is the key. So it's just the opposite to writing here. Here first we have the key and then we have the value, but here we have the value and then we have the key. And then first of all we write the key, which is the name, and then we have the value, which is the grade. So okay, there we go. So let's save the code, and here we should refresh the page. And as you can see, at first we have the names and then we have the grades. Perfect. So we've managed to write the names of the students of the class with their grades inside of HTML page or HTML element. And so as a result, we've learned how to loop through the map. Okay, that's it. We've learned how to do so many operations on the map. We've learned how to create a map, how to add elements to it, how to remove an element from it, how to check whether an element exists, and also we learned how to loop through our map. So generally maps are very useful because you can write so many different data with so many features about them. And we can also have a map inside of another map. This is also useful when you're writing a JSON file. And those of you who have learned Python, it's pretty much like dictionary in Python. So up to now we've learned how to loop through maps and sets using for each method, but here in this part of the tutorial we're going to see how we can loop through both of these collections using for loop. So here I'm going to write I'm going to continue with the maps here, and I'm going to use the for loop inside of this file here, and I'm going to use for, and I can say x of, and then the name of our map, which was students grades, students grades, and then here we're going to have the block. Also here before the for loop, I'm going to set the text as empty. So text should be equal to empty string, and in here inside of the for loop I'm going to actually write the very same thing we wrote for looping through the for each statement. So here I'm going to use x plus, and x will be the entire map including the key and the value. So we don't need to write both of them apart from each other. So the next one is also the br tag. So the br tag also let us include it in here inside of the text at the beginning, because we're going to the next line. And by the way, we need to have it inside of map.html, we want to create another one, another tag here, and call it, probably better to copy that. Again, I'm gonna call it the map or map here, save this. And inside of the map.js, I'm going to continue. So here we want to write the next line, which is document. We want to connect this to the HTML. Document dot get element by ID, and inside of this I can write the name of the tag, which was map dot inner HTML equals to the text. So let's save this here and see if this one is gonna work. So let's get back to our folder and open up our map here, map.html. So as you can see here, we have the map printed out on the HTML document. But here, because we haven't divided the keys and the values, as you can see here, instead of the equal, we have comma, which is exactly the same as what we have inside of our map. So the complete data inside each element of the map is brought here using the for loop. And that's what we have done here. Okay, anyway, let's get back to the code and do the same process for the sets. So let's get to the sets code, find it, sets.js here, and we had sets.html, which is here. So inside of sets.html, I'm also going to create another one, another tag here, copy it and paste it right over here and call it cars free. And here in the sets.js, I'm going to, actually we have used for loop, so there's no need to do this